Hello everyone, I'm Micheline from Americana Quilting. We do custom quilting and long arming, and you can find a link to our website in the description below. Please go on our website. It's got fabric, patterns, all kinds of things like that. You can get a quote for a custom quilt. You can get a quote for long arming. Go do that. Hi, this is Ranger. Don't put your head there. Oh boy. Ranger's got to get his love. I've been gone all morning getting my nails done. And he says, I want some attention, Mommy. I got to have some attention. Yes, I do. Okay, can you go out that way so I can do this intro, please? Yep, nope, don't get up on here. Out, out. Go that way. Thank you. Now that you've pushed me all around. Out, 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 out. Thank you. Good boy. That was Ranger. Hi. Okay. That's not what I meant when I said this video is going to be fun today. Oh, here we got somebody else coming in. Hi, Willow. Thank you. Okay. Today we are dealing with a disappearing block. I love disappearing blocks. They are so much fun. So let me show you a little bit about what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to start out with this collection of fabrics. We've got 3 fabrics. We've got some 3.5-inch rectangles. Got a blue square. That is actually blue. I don't know if you can tell if that's blue. And then we've got a bigger square, 2 bigger squares actually. So what are we going to make? Guess what we're going to make? We're going to make a square and a square. Now, believe it or not, that square and a square is going to turn into this. A Delectable Mountains, Mirrored Majestic Mountains, a Navajo blanket. All of those names are associated with this block. So this is what we're going to make today. But this is where we're starting from. Isn't that neat? All right, so I've chosen my 3 fabrics, and I've chosen them in the tradition of the Native Americans that did the Navajo blankets, I guess. Yellow, this kind of yellowy orange, represents the sun. Blue represents the sky. And red, in my case kind of a rusty red, represents earth. So I wanted to give a nod to tradition there, and we are going to have so much fun making that. Let's go over to the machine with our pieces, and I'm going to show you how to make it. First things first, I liberally starched all my fabrics, okay? Because when we go to cut this square and a square up, it's going to be on the bias. So that is one thing we need to be careful of. We're going to start with our, I think it's a 6.5-inch square. And we are first going to take our little pieces here that are 3.5 by 6.5. And all of these figures will be in a downloadable PDF on our website. I'll give you all the figures you'll need to make this quilt, okay? I'm going to line that up and take a nice little scant 1/4 of an inch, because I always do scant 1/4 of an inches. And I'm kind of having this my red fabric, he's a little bit stretchy. So I'm kind of having to make him do my bidding. I'm kind of having to hold on to him just a little bit more. Ooh, look at that dust bunny. Get off of there, you. There we go. Might need to clean my machine. Okay, so I got it on one side. Let me make sure my machine here is on. Yes, it is. I'm going to do the other side now. There we go. It almost seems like the faster you go sewing something like that, the less it has time to stretch. Does that make sense? Okay. Now I'm going to set those 2 seams. And we're going to turn those over really gently. There we go. So it is fall here. It's the last day of October when you're when I'm making this video. Fall is my favorite season. What is y'all's favorite season? Leave it in the comments. Okay, got that done. Now we're going to take the longer of the reds, earth fabric, and we're going to put this on here. And you can see where, let me see if I can get that up there to show you. You can see where it stretched the fabric out just a little bit, and it's a little bit longer. So I'm just I'm making it work. You know, I'm not stretching it, but I'm just going to basically go mimic where my square fabric is. So if that means I'm a little bit over with this back fabric, that's okay to me, okay? All right. Make sure it's all staying straight. That one's done. And let's get this other one done. And after this, after I get these pieces sewn on, I will take it to the cutting mat for the first time after I press it. And I'm going to square that up just a little bit. I'm just going to knock those edges down just a smidgen. So I'll show you that. Okay. Just so that the next step, step that we do in this square and a square is starting off with a already square background. Okay. There we go. Square and a square. Let's go square up this square. We know that this piece started its life at 3.5 inches. So I've taken a 1/4 inch seam. So this should be 3 1/4 inches. And you can see that I've got just a little bit left over here on the sides. So I'm going to clean that side up. I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to put that 3 1/4 line on my center square again. And just clean that up a little bit. I did this side already. Now let's do this last side, and he might not even need a haircut. Nope, doesn't need a haircut. All right, now we're ready to take this back to the machine and add our next layer of square and a square. Here's our trimmed up or squared up block. Here is our next block. So I've cut it in half diagonally. And now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put him over here. Now, at this point, this guy's on the diag. This is a bias edge right here. Okay, so we're already got some stretching going on. So, and by the way, I heavily starched this. I don't know if I already said that or not. I heavily starched it. So I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to pin on either side of that seam just so it doesn't shove it around a whole bunch, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing just on this one side. That's just giving it a little bit of some extra fingers, okay? And it is laying well past 1/4 inch over the edge here and here, okay? So I got plenty of fabric. All right, I'm going to put that in there. And run my 1/4 inch seam allowance. I carefully ran over my pins. I made sure that if they were in the way, I slowed way down. But honestly, one of those pins, I hadn't pinned that far into the project. I did that. See, the pin stopped before. It stopped before where I was going to sew over it. Okay, and these are batiks, so right, wrong side, there isn't one. All right, I'm going to put this guy on here, center him up, Put a couple more pins in there, keep them away from the edge. Woo, throw a pin at me. Okay, let's do another one there. This one might be better off like right there, huh? Okay, here we go. Again, I'm nowhere near the pins, so I can just travel right by those. Those two sides are done. Come here, little pin. Okay, now let's go over here and set those seams and turn that over. Again, being very, very gentle with it. It is on the bias. We don't need to stretch any of this out. Get over there. Turn that over. Don't want any little puckers in it. Okay, now I'm going to take just a second and I'm going to trim these little dog ears on this so they don't interfere when I start cutting this up and putting it back together. They're just out of the way, okay? There we go. Okay, those are out of my way. Set him over there. Get my other pieces that don't want to behave. There we go. All right, now I still have, this was still oversized enough that it hangs over the edge here and here by about 1/4 inch. So that's good. All right, let's put a couple more pins in here. And you know me, I don't normally use pins, but I found that one with this particular fabric is a little bit stretchy, so I'm using pins. And certainly when I get on to the next step, where everything is going to be on the bias, I'll be using some pins. So I feel like there's a place and a time for pins. I pretty much always use pins when I'm putting a border on. And this is another time that I would use pins. Okay, let's see here. Okay. There we go. I'm so enjoying my Create a Block series where I study all of the history of a certain block, that I found myself studying this block too. And not the square in a square, because, you know, I was going to make it disappear, but the Delectable Mountains or the Majestic Mountains, or, you know, the Mirrored Mountains. Thunder and Lightning, I think, is another one that this is called. It's got a lot of names. And I was just fascinated with it, and I realized there is a quilt that I made my mother before she passed away many, many years ago. She said, you know, I'd really like a southwestern looking quilt. So I went to Mary Jo's. For those of you who are from the Southeast and have been quilting for a while, you know exactly where Mary Jo's was. It was in Gastonia, North Carolina, and it was a mecca to quilters. They would come by the busload from Atlanta to Mary Jo's to buy fabric. Anyway, I didn't know a whole lot about quilting back then. I didn't know about the different blocks or the techniques or anything like that. I just kind of made up this quilt as I went along. And I was looking at it yesterday as I was researching this block, and I realized I made Delectable Mountains. So I'll get a picture of it and have, I'll take a picture of it and have Savannah insert it. Okay, so here is our square in a square. Now let's take it back over to the cutting mat, and we're going to trim up all of this really nice and neat, okay? Just as we squared up this portion of the square in a square, we're now going to do the same to this portion of the square in a square. All right, I know that from this point to where I want to trim off, which would be 1/4 of an inch away from that red corner, is 8 3/4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm very carefully going to line up my point on a line here and down here. Okay, once I get that lined up, I'm going to come over here with my ruler, and using the lines on my ruler to match the lines on my mat, I am lining up at that 8 3/4 inch mark, which is just 1/4 of an inch off of that point. And that's what I'm going to take off, like that. Okay, now all I've got to do is rotate this, line that back, those points back up, like so. Line my ruler back up on my mat. There we go. A little bit crooked like on that one, but that's not going to make a big difference. Line my square back up. Okay. Put my ruler in the right place on my mat. Get rid of that stuff. And one last spin. Get him centered there like that. Put my ruler down again in the appropriate place so that I'm taking off approximately, oops, move my ruler. Try that again. So that I'm taking off enough so that there's just about 1/4 of an inch left right here. All right, now that's all trimmed up. Now we are ready to make this block disappear. This is so exciting to me. This is always the fun part. Okay, I'm going to put the corner of my ruler, bring that down for a second, right in this intersection as well as this intersection, okay? All right, so right there and right there. And then I'm just going to cut right through there. Oh, it's the scariest part. Okay, there he is. Now I'm going to go 2 inches over. Put my glasses back on, and I'm going to put this mark on my ruler 2 inches from the edge there, just like that. Let's do that again. Okay. There we go. All right. And one more time, another 2-inch cut right there. Okay, there. Now this piece is a little bit bigger, and that's okay. All right, now we're going to do the same thing over here. Because I'm a lefty and I can't go around the other side of the table because I'll knock over the camera, I'm now going to use my mat. Okay, so I moved this piece on a nice line, and now I'm going to the line that is 2 inches over. There we go. My first cut. Oops, left my blade open. One of the things that I like so much about this ruler, because it's got all these cuts in it, it's much more flexible. So I can take it over here. Let's see, let me move this down. And I can hold it where I need to. Let me see, hang on just a second. Let me go down here so you can see it. So say I wanted it on this line on the mat. I can be off of my fabric like that, and I can put it there and hold on to it, and then I can kind of rotate this end down here until I get it just where I need it, and then I can just let it lay down. And that way I'm not moving my fabric with my ruler accidentally. So I'm going to put it on that 2 inches away from the edge there, anchor my ruler up here off the fabric, and you see I'm kind of spinning it right down here. not spinning it, but rotating it just a little bit until I find the line that I want it to be on. And then I lay it on the fabric. There we go. Do that again, one last cut. Anchor my ruler up there, get it lined up on that line, place it down on the fabric, hold my ruler down, and cut. All right, here are all of our cuts. Now, ready for the magic? This is so simple. There we go. There we go. There we go. Isn't that fascinating? Voila. Now all we have to do is go back and sew that all together. I've brought my pieces over from the cutting board and I'm going to go ahead and lay them out so that I don't mix them up. I'm the queen of mixing things up when I bring them from the design wall back over to the cutting board. Cutting board. Sewing machine. Jeez. Cutting board. It sounds like I'm cooking. Okay. There we go. I'm going to start from over here and I'm going to pick these two up like this. Okay. And I'm going to put them together. Now, this is where you start to run into those bias fabrics. You can even see the grain of this fabric. It is running this way. So you want to be super careful with this. Just, you know, we've already talked about the fact that I heavily starched my fabrics, and now I'm going to use a series of pins just to help me hold it in place, right? Gosh, it doesn't want to go through my batiks. Work with me here. Okay. And I'm making kind of sure that this center part is in the center of the other one. And I kind of know it is because, you know, I just cut it apart and it's not going to get out of whack that quickly, right? I hope. Okay. My stars. I hope the rest of these go a little bit easier going through there. Maybe I need to get some new pins. Okay. All right. Now I'm just going to come up here. Pull that needle back a little bit. Make sure I'm not turning anything over, any seams over. There we go. First one is done. Okay, cut my leader off. Oops. Okay, and there we go. There's the first piece sewn on. Now, I'm going to iron it all in the end. So I'm going to get this next piece, and I'm going to put it over here like this. And I'm going to do the same thing I did a minute ago and put some pins in there, right? Just to help me hold on to it a little bit better. Okay. Like so. Put one in the middle. And I'm being super careful, just being really gentle so that I'm not stretching anything out of the way. And there is some forgiveness in this. So if you stretch it a little bit, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, all right? Okay. Now, I'm going to use my leader. Here's something funny. So I've been teaching my daughter-in-law, wonderful Maggie, who's going to be in an upcoming video, and I hope you'll watch that and enjoy it. I've been teaching her how to sew, and when she comes to sew, she uses my Juki. And I told her all about a leader and how to use a leader. So I want you to see something. This is funny. This is my leader. Look at that mess. Just an absolute rat's nest. Look at her leader. Is that not the cutest thing you've ever seen? She carefully did it in a grid. I just love that. I absolutely love her. She's the best thing since sliced bread, I'm telling you. Okay. Hold down that seam as I came to it. Hold this seam down. All my needles are out of the way. Again, I'm not running over them. Okay. There. Now, there are some pros and cons to doing this Delectable Mountain or Thunder and Lightning, whatever you like to call it. There's some pros and cons to it. Much faster, much easier to make. The con is, and you've heard me talk about this several times already, it's on the bias, so be careful. Another con is I cut off my point. Okay, it's just what happens when you do this. So, you know, if you're a stickler for having that point in there, this might not be the quilt block for you, and that's okay. I was able to get past that. It's not going to have that perfect point in it. But if that bothers you, then do it the traditional way. And the traditional way, of course, is like snowballing strip pieces. That would be more the traditional way of doing this. I'm going to show you this one last one so you can see what I mean by it cuts off the point. Just put a few pins in there. Put another one right there because it looks stretchy. Okay, let me come back up here to the beginning. Okay. Take the rest of those pins out and trim that off. And I'm going to show you what I mean by it took my point away. See that? They don't have a nice little point. I do have a nice point here, but not right there. If that bothers you, do your Delectable Mountains the traditional way. It didn't bother me. Now on this one, I am going to match these where the blue is pretty. I'm going to pin that generously so that those pieces match, because I think that would look funny if those didn't match, right? So I guess I'm going to show you this one next one, and you don't need to see me do the other ones together. But I just think this is such a fun way to utilize those disappearing blocks to make something completely different. It makes me want to go and look at other traditional blocks and just cut them up and put them in different ways. Put them back together in different ways. I just want to do that so bad. And I suspect, pick up that pin before a dog steps on it. I heard it clink on the ground. And I suspect that's how people who have come up with these things come up with them. They do a traditional block and then they cut it up in a bunch of different ways until they find a new way to do something. Cut off my leader, a messy leader, and there we go. And you can see that those match nicely. They're not absolutely perfect, but they match nice enough. All right, let me get the rest of these sewn on here and I'll show you the next step. Let's iron it. press it. So sorry. I'm going to start from the back. It doesn't matter which way you press these seams. I'm just going to kind of just gently press them one direction or another. I'm giving just a slight amount of pressure here just to open them up. Make sure that they're opening up on the front side, like so. And I guess I just feel more comfortable pressing it this way. I don't think it really matters. I suspect it will when it comes time to putting them together. So you might want to put, but not really. If you press them all in the same direction, you can turn one this way and one the opposite way. So I'll stand by what I first said. Doesn't matter which way you press them. Just be consistent, okay? Just be consistent, okay? And just be very, very careful not to stretch things out of whack. There we go. All right, a couple more seams left to do. Ever so gently. There we go. One more. Okay. Now that's all pressed. Now I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to make sure that I don't feel any seams pressed over. Flipped over. And then I'm just going to gently make sure that all of these seams are open. So I'm just giving a little, I'm not pulling enough to stretch anything. I'm just pulling enough that if I see a crease, I can pull that crease out of there. All right, there we go. Let's get that off of my wood, shall we? Don't want that sitting on there. Ooh, ouch. I even have, I didn't want my iron, even the silicone part, setting on the wood, because you can ruin your wood. Even if it's sitting on a wool mat on the silicone, it'll still bubble and ruin your wood finish. So what I've done is I just have a piece of cardboard box, and that is underneath my wool mat. And that keeps my table from getting ruined. Okay, all right, here we go. That is now all done. And now we're going to take it back over to the cutting board and just trim up the ends just ever so slightly. So then this one might not need any trimming because it seems like it's all straight. We want it to finish 17 inches long by 14 inches wide. So let's go check that out now. It's the last trimming we need to do on this block before we start putting them together. I have again lined up my point and this point on a line on my mat, okay? Sorry, it's a little bit out of frame up there, but just trust me, it is centered on the line. And I know that I need 8.5 inches this way and 8.5 inches that way. So I put my ruler on that point, and this one does just need just a teeny tiny bit of a haircut on that side. Okay, and I know that the ruler police will get on to me if I try and do that backwards, so I am going to spin my work, make sure that he is centered. My little points are centered on my mat. I'm going to measure that at 8.5 again. And see, on this end I've got a little bit more to trim off. There we go. All right, now we've got that at 17.5 inches long by 17 inches long by 14 inches wide. Now I'm going to get a bunch more made up and we'll get it put together on the design wall. I got it all pieced. I've got 3 blocks across, 3 blocks down. It is taller than it is wide because the blocks, remember, are 14 inches wide by 17 inches tall. Because when you make those vertical cuts in your square and a square and then sew it back together, it gets narrower. I really love how this came together. And because I pressed all the seams in one direction, and there's not a specific top or a bottom, I was able to just flip them this way. So this row all the seams go this way, this row, all the seams go that way, and this one, all the seams go that way. And that way I was able to nest every one of these intersections, and that made for really easy piecing it together. Now let's talk borders. I could just bind it. I think I could bind it with this and that would look really pretty. But I want to bring out a little bit more of the blue. It's such a pretty blue color. I wasn't crazy about it just right there like that. And I could do all kinds of fun things. I could do some flying geese. I could do a really intricate border similar to what I have in the Southwestern quilt that I had made my mother. But I thought, you know, the whole concept of turning this, we're going to call it Delectable Mountains, is that it? Block this way was to simplify it. You know, it was a disappearing block. It was a little bit simpler than making 4 individual pieces that you snowball everything. We just made that one block, cut it up and put it back together. And it was very simple. Not that the other one was hard, but it was just a fun thing to do. So keeping in I want to make this a simple, easy quilt, I think I'm just going to keep the borders simple. So I think I'm going to go first with a small border, maybe an inch or so of this, and then maybe a couple of inches of that, and then maybe another little bit of this one, and then maybe bind it with this color here. So that will bring a little bit more of that back into it. It'll make it just a little bit larger, so it's more of a throw size for somebody my size. And that will be a perfect one for my recliner in the house. And I think I'll use it this fall. All right, so on to borders. Let me get to doing that. All right, so first of all, big apologies. Maggie and I got so worked up looking at how to do the backing, right?
Yeah.
That we didn't film anything. So trust us, it's gonna, and we're gonna show it to you, and it's really cool. I like how it turned out. We found a piece of fabric that we thought that'll be perfect on the back of the quilt, but we didn't have nearly enough of it to do anything with, and we tried and tried and tried to figure out the formula.
That took us a long time. She was trying to teach me a cool trick because I'm new at this, and it just was not working out.
It wasn't. We were trying to do the diagonal seam, which I've done before, but there really wasn't a lot of this fabric, and we were going to add a little bit to the top and a little bit to the bottom, and we were trying to figure out how much do I need to add to the top and the bottom to be able to get that diagonal seam to work, and we couldn't figure out the formula. You know, that would have maybe been a Troy, my son, the physics major, he would have been able to figure out the formula.
Definitely.
Not us.
It's not in our
It just seemed like every which way we tried to do it, it was going to take more material than if we had just cut 2 pieces. Anyway, we'll show you the back in a minute. First of all, let's talk a little bit about this and something else I forgot to show you. And I'll have Savannah insert a photo of this. I initially made this blue border about 2 inches wide. Well, I didn't like it. So guess what I did? I lopped it off and moved that burgundy border in and did it like that. And I like that much, much better. I kept calling this Delectable Mountains. I think it is more Majestic Mountains than Delectable. Delectable's a little bit different. Same basic concept. Calling this one Magic Mountains because we started with this and made some magic happen and turned it into the Majestic Mountains. Okay, so that's what we're calling it. It finished 45.5 by 54 inches, so that's a perfect little lap size quilt. So I'm super excited about using that. Let's see, what else did I say we were going to talk about, Maggie, other than the back? Oh, I know what it was. I saw this. I don't want you to think I thought this up. I saw this on somebody else's channel on YouTube, VinutaSewing. She's from Sweden. And it's one of those that they don't really speak. There's just music in the background, which I find extremely relaxing late at night when I'm trying to wind down. I'll just watch them sew, and it's really fun. But you know, they'll do this to tell you to sew a seam, and they'll do this to show you to press. It's very relaxing. That's where I first saw this done. And I thought, that's brilliant, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. We do have a pattern. It is a PDF pattern, so you'll have to download it. And that'll be on our website, and there'll be a link to that in the show notes below. Okay, so now what we want to do is show you the back. Remember, this started as a square in a square, okay? And now, ta-da! We made a square in a square again on the back. So we're super happy with how that turned out. And I'll get you a close-up, and Savannah will insert it, of this really fun design that Maggie picked out to put on the back. It's got little, it's a very southwesterny look with a sun.
Yeah, there's a little
yeah,
squiggly.
almost gives it an
So cool.
Aztec look.
Yeah.
So super happy with that. Okay, let's spin her back around. And there we go. Put it back up here. No idea if we're going to get it straight or in the frame. We didn't do too bad. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this dual quilt tutorial. I had so much fun playing with Maggie and trying to figure out how to do the back.
I had fun helping out. It was fun.
We've got another video coming up where she's helping me.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're moving to Oklahoma City to Tinker Air Force Base. Go Air Force.
Yeah.
So hope you like this tutorial. Please like, share, and subscribe. Do all the things that make that algorithm
sing.
And until next time, stay quilting. Bye.